wanted to welcome everybody to our Advanced Options program tonight. One thing I feel extremely fortunate about is the opportunity to allow our students to have not only with AP classes, which are amazing, to having some opportunities for CCP and kind of branching out in that aspect. Awesome scenario. We have two of our AP teachers here that will talk a little bit about some of the things that they do. But again, for a small school and the offerings that we have and the things that we do are second to none for what the size of what we are. I want to thank everybody for coming and welcome. And Mrs. Laverty and Mrs. Prosech are going to take over and go from there. Right, ladies?
Yes. Yep. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. And please, you are welcome to jump in with questions as we're going. So don't feel like you have to wait until the end. We're happy to take some of your questions now. So when we talk about advanced options at the high school, we are talking about specifically about advanced placement as well as the college credit plus options for our students. And so we like to give you as much information as we can so that you can make the choice that is that you think is most appropriate for your student.
We did invite a couple of our AP teachers here tonight so they could kind of just give you some ideas of what students can expect when they take an AP course at Kirtland. So Mrs. Duncan is the teacher for AP English Literature and Composition and AP English Language and Composition. And Mr. Valentic teaches AP Government and AP Psychology. They're also going to talk about a couple of the other classes as well.
Something to know about the AP courses is that curriculum is standard throughout all the AP, so AP Language. That course, the course content is across the board for every school in the United States and internationally that teaches that course. And so when a student has taken AP Language, the colleges know, because it is through the College Board that puts out the SAT, they know what that curriculum is because students wherever they're taking AP Language are getting that content. Now it can be taught in different ways, as Mrs. Duncan will tell you about, but that is why it has that AP label, because it's gone through they have to look at what the teachers are teaching and make sure that they're kind of sticking to what is set out by the College Board.
Okay, so I am Mariah Duncan. I teach AP English and Literature and Composition and AP Language and Composition. And I'm excited to be here tonight. I haven't spoken at one of these AP CCP sessions in the past, so I'm delighted to speak on behalf of my courses that I offer. I've been teaching or been involved with the College Board for about 16 years at the pre-AP and AP levels here at Kirtland since 2009. I have seen the College Board go through many changes with the curriculum, always improving and seeking ways to make sure that we are reaching across between high school and college level to create a rigorous curriculum that would then be awarded credit and qualify as course completion for like courses at the college level. And what Mrs. Laverty said is absolutely true. I just wanted to read this statement. The AP curriculum exams, in contrast to professor-designed introductory courses at 2-year and 4-year colleges, are developed by a team of educators, a diverse mix of college professors and high school teachers, in a rare example of K-12 higher ed working side by side. So specifically between the two courses I teach, traditionally students take AP Language in 11th grade, some in 10th grade, that show strong aptitude. That course is based in nonfiction and rhetoric, where we study our ability to use language in persuasive ways. And so students learn to use it through written and spoken word, as well as to analyze it and evaluate it when we hear it coming through, say, political speeches, or through medical jargon, or through advertisement in media. So I believe the AP Language course itself, for a student that's looking to improve their critical reading in all avenues, science, political science, history, the liberal arts, is one of the most important classes that you could take here at Kirtland. In fact, I wish every student would try to take AP language because I believe so wholeheartedly in the quality of the curriculum that the College Board has adopted in this case. Now, it's skill-based. So we meet the student where they are and use pedagogy that we learned in secondary ed to lift those students up, to improve their writing skills and make them optimistic and positive and just ready to take on post-secondary education when they go off and leave Kirtland. The AP literature course is typically for seniors, and it is fiction-based literature. We analyze novels, poems, dramas, short stories. We do in-depth author poet focus. Students learn to analyze the components that make a story, make a poem, and how it's pieced together to reveal some important human concept. It's a lot of fun that senior year, and we get to talk about really important issues through fiction. The last thing I kind of want to leave you with is a little bit of a reiteration of what I said earlier. And what is unique about, I think, the AP program, not only at Kirtland, but everywhere. The AP course and the College Board exam uphold the national standards that allow students to take highly ambitious academic risks. We reward risks. We want students to be risk takers without fear of failure because we're going to help them continue to build within, and this is key, a comfortable, familiar setting with the support of their high school teachers who have been trained by the College Board. I'm very proud of that fact. In fact, I will be reading for the AP exam again this summer, and I learn every year so much about the students across the country that participate in the program, and I'm able to take that information back to my students and keep helping them grow as writers and strong readers, and make sure that whatever they choose, whatever path they choose beyond high school, that they're ready for that. Turn it over to you.
Excellent. I'm John Valentic. I've been here 25 years. I've been teaching in the social studies department. I've been lucky enough to do AP US History, AP Gov, and AP Psych the past 2 years. I've also taught college credit plus class that we partnered with Lakeland a couple years ago. So I have experience with all of them. And here's why I like AP. Here's why I'm going to tell you that AP is the way to go. It is definitely biased. Please don't be offended. If you've already made up your mind, don't tune me out. But if you haven't, think of this. Number one, as Ms. Duncan said, it's rigorous, it's challenging. We will push them, but we're going to be gentle. We're going to hold their hand. We're going to tell them it's okay. We're going to delay the test 2 days till they're ready, as opposed to it's on the syllabus. You got to take it today, right? We really care about these kids and we want them to do well because I don't know if this is true for Ms. Duncan, but I know that I don't want any of my students ever to leave my class and then word get back to me that you didn't prepare me. Like I went to college and dude, I didn't learn anything. So it's really an ego thing. I want to make sure you know what you're talking about. So I want to make sure that you're going to do it right, do it well, and then we're going to get you through. So not only do we get an AP, have your sons and daughters for a year, the full year, as opposed to Lakeland, which is only a semester. So we're going to obviously be able to get into the details of the course. But along the way, especially in the social studies department, we're going to try to teach them how to write for that department, as opposed to going to Lakeland, you already have to kind of know that, right? So we're going to be building those reading and writing skills. Regardless of what you do, you have to be able to communicate. And so we're going to try to do that in AP with rigors and standards, but still very friendly like. I don't know that, if that's what you want. If you don't care, then I don't know if AP is the one for you. But anyway, that's why I think AP is great, besides the fact that you could get college credit and you're in a class of serious students who want to do as well as you do too. So there's that component. I don't know if what you guys have going on. If you have any questions, we can take them. I know that I've got a conference at 6:30, and I know Ms. Duncan has a son who's wrestling. So before we leave, if you wanted to ask us anything, we would definitely be
I might just
Thank
say
you.
one more thing. I have 2 students in college that went through the AP program and both received credit and have many credits to make them in sophomore status and now junior status. And they get the perks of getting to qualify for housing first and get the dorm of their choice, or register for their classes first because they're coming in with the credits, having done well on their AP exams. We didn't know when they started the AP program where they would end up after their senior year. We didn't know if it would be a state school, private school, an out-of-state school. So the AP program helped my kids because in the end, we knew we could afford in-state tuition with a little bit of loans and help that way. But we weren't so sure about private schools or out of state. But as so happened, we let them stretch their wings and apply to a bunch of different places to make the best choice for them. In the end, both of my children are out of state at private schools, but we're paying the in-state tuition because they were recognized for academic through the AP Scholars Program, and their AP credits were transferable. And now they're benefiting from having had that and are doing very successful in Rochester and in Chicago. So if you have questions from the parent, and I've been there and I had to help my children make the best choice for them. It is a very personal choice. So I can answer that. Or if you want to talk longer, you can email me at mariah.duncan@Kirtland School to be happy to pick up a phone and talk to you.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
In terms of colleges giving kids credit for AP classes, do you have any sense of whether they're more likely to give credit for non-science classes versus science classes? Because I've got a chemistry degree, and high school science is not lab-based like college science. So I think that would be really set a student behind, and I don't know,
Well,
college.
I can speak to that. My daughter's a science major and she went through the whole AP program. And she has tons of science credits through AP. And through both of them.
Yeah.
So, she, being a science major, they said, okay, you already have, and literally the book that they used is AP Bio here. She used, it was their first Ohio State honors bio there.
Oh, yeah, no
So-
question what the curriculum.
But she has to take the
Laboratory
course.
skill. It's
Oh,
the
the skill.
lab skill.
Well, no, because in AP, they do teach,
I'm
skill.
sorry.
yeah,
You
I
guys
know.
don't have the lab.
But what it's going to do is that it's going to give her or your student a basis of skill that other students that don't take AP may not have, depending on where they go to school. So there are skills that have to be taught based on the AP curriculum that don't necessarily have to be taught in like a regular bio class. And so they will have some more of that background. Now, are they going to be awarded credit and allowed to bypass that freshman bio if they are a science major? No way, because your school is gonna want it. But it will put them in maybe the bump up, like the next bio,
They'll be better off.
that they don't have to take maybe the entry level, they can take the next one, So instead of like the first year bio that all of the pre-med students take, she got to take the honors bio that it's a smaller class in select few, so
Yeah, that makes total.
it does.
And
And
now,
now,
honestly, that's the same for CCP and.
exactly,
Yeah.
same exact thing. And then also, she's not an English major, so more of her psych class and her government class and her English credits, she doesn't have to take those classes there. She is taking the science classes that she got AP credit for because she's a science major. That's gonna be across the board. If she was an English major, she probably wouldn't have to take some of the science classes.
Okay, so
We
it
see
does
that.
depend on your major.
Yes, we see that all the time. That's not just with my kids. That's just with, in general, with
And it-
CCP and with AP.
And if you go to the College Board website, there is a location where you can click on each individual college to see their rules, and they change. The
I
colleges
have
may
that in
change from
here.
year to
Yeah.
year.
We have that in here. which is-
Yeah.
Before, if I could say before, I'm fortunate to be able to sell observation. And the things that they're doing, things that are coming out of our schools now when it comes to analyzing text or debating, or it's refreshing, it's challenging, And it would be something that I want my kids to go through. But the preparation and how they interact, and even how well our students well on the test is part of it. So, I mean, I wish all the AP teachers were here, but they bust their butts every single day for that curriculum and stuff. And I'm proud of them and I appreciate it. And I'm so happy that they came to talk. Greg's here with your science, came to watch and support. But I can't say enough about what they do. And we can't wait to make it even better and give them the support to do it. So I'd like to give them,
To talk about your program?
Way to put him on the spot, on the spot.
Well, he gets a lot of students because what he does is amazing.
Yeah, we have to say, like, we've earned awards
Yeah.
for his work in the computer science department. So he really is outstanding.
I think our students, so computer science is lucky to have really 2 courses in a row to the College Board, whereas the science classes are sort of like, there's chemistry, there's bio, there's physics, right? And there's a, correct me if I'm wrong, there's a set of physics, right?
Yeah.
But in computer science, we have a set of AP courses there. And as I look around this room, I definitely see some people whose children have already taken some. But the computer science principles class is sort of the introduction to computer science, which is kind of different for AP, right? Like the writing classes, so literature and language, right? That's a robust. You better be a better writer before you come there to take those classes, if I'm correct, right?
Well, we'll take them all and get them there.
However, this principles class really does start you from, I know almost nothing. And with high expectations, we get you to know how a computer thinks, right? And then the second class, computer science A, takes you from I've never programmed Java in my life to I'm dangerous and I can go out. And I have students who really like, I don't need to be bigger, maybe dangerous today, but really, have been employed as programmers. Okay. So, am I selling this as, this is, we're going to make you a programmer in high school? No. But what I'm saying is my best students have gotten there.
My son is in
Yes.
CSEC at RIT, benefiting from your class.
I have another student, another couple students who at Miami, to the point about getting credit, earned 2 courses of credit, and are now in the 3rd level computer programming class there. Typically, you get the general credit for computer science principles, not the computer science department's credit, right? And then you get the first programming class for computer science. Right? And you're automatically in data structures, and I'll tell you, I don't know about Tiger and calculus. These are the 2 things that I know well, right? But for me, the intro or the computer science A class is more rigorous than the first level programming class I took in college, and the one that's still being taught first level college. Right? And that's okay, because we're not the college, right? We need to make sure the kids are extra prepared, because I don't want them to go there and then be like, what's going on?
And the computer science department, this is kind of not a complete segue, but a little bit of a link to CCP. This is where we always like to encourage the students to use CCP to expand. We have an outstanding computer science department. And for students who are interested in that, it is likely that they could exhaust all of the outstanding opportunities that we have for them here. And that is, we want them to do that. We encourage them to do that. And then in that case, once they do exhaust those opportunities, then they can use a program like CCP to go to one of the colleges and take their computer we've had students take cybersecurity classes, things like that on the college campus. So that's where the two programs kind of marry.
Right,
Marry,
they
and they
do.
can work together like that too. So now, so some people don't, they think they have to do one or the other, and that's not necessarily.
Yeah, and to that point, kids have different strengths as well, and that's why they're not mutually exclusive. And that's what we want you to understand, is that these two programs are not mutually exclusive of each other.
Any questions?
Before we
Or
move
they head
on?
out? Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you. I don't know how to.
On the other side of the. There we go. Okay, so they talked about this. They talked about why. They talked about why the rigor and the content mastery is important in AP classes. We talked through all of those points. This is the list. You can just look through it briefly. You'll get the presentation too.
Mhm.
These are the courses that we offer in person. Not all of them always run every year. Seminar and research, those we're still trying to get off the ground, but we do consistently offer 13 AP classes in person. And we do have some students who, if we don't offer a class that they want and that they have an interest in, we do work with them to potentially to find a class online, if that's something they're motivated to do as a student. But we are very lucky for the size that we are to be able to offer the students such a large number of AP courses.
Mhm. And this will be on the website, and we will send this presentation out as well.
Okay, so this is just some like FYI information. The tests are usually the first 2 weeks of May. Each test is assigned a day, and the tests are $96 per exam. We register the students here at school in their classrooms. It's very streamlined. College Board. I guess maybe one of the slight positives that came from COVID is that the College Board got their act together and streamlined some things very nicely. So that is a great thing that we can do for them. The tests are scored on a scale of 1 to 5. And like Mrs. Duncan said, each test has readers that sit down and review the test and score them. All right, so again, Mrs. Duncan also mentioned being able to search for how the credits can transfer. So most colleges, you need a 3 or higher to earn a college credit, to earn a credit for that class on the college campus. It depends, again, on the college, on the course, on the student's major, things like that. So there are 2 websites that are very helpful to look at this. And I'll just briefly show you real quick. I just picked Miami University, for example. You can go through and just scroll. Like if you think your student might take the biology test, if they get a 3 to 5, they'll get credit for Bio 116. And you can just continue to scroll on and see, based on the course, the exam, how that will translate to that college campus. So this is, like I said, if you know a specific school that you want to look at. The other option is to go to the College Board website. And you can
Choose the course.
choose a course. And you can kind of go through the list. You can search for a specific college if you want, and it will bring you to the College Board search engine. This is the College Board search engine to match AP tests to their credits on campus.
Again, though, it's not like 100% that this is what your student will get. It very much so depends on what they are going to be majoring in college as well.
Slideshow it back. That's okay. Oh, there it
There
goes.
we go.
Okay.
Yep.
So in 2021, so last school year, we had 264 exams taken by 135 students in 13 different subjects. I put you'll see little numbers in parentheses next to those. Those are the numbers from the previous year, 1920. So you'll see we had a pretty significant increase in not only students who've taken tests, but also the number of tests that they're taking. And we feel confident that that is because they value the high level of curriculum that our teachers offer them. 60%, a little bit more than 60% of our test takers score 3 or higher on the AP test. Okay. So the College Board also, they recognize students who are taking,
Sorry.
that's okay, taking the exams and scoring well on them, so.
I have issues with this slideshow every time I try to advance it. I think it's my lack of.
Oh, no, where
I'll
are we
get out of
going?
there. Yeah.
Where are we
I'll
going
do
here?
I'll go back to you. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Okay, good.
So they're called AP scholars. So there's different levels. The first level is for students, if they're AP scholars, is the
Mhm.
title of it. And we had 21 of them in the 2021 school year. Those are for students who received a 3 or higher on 3 or more AP exams. That could be maybe in 1 year, or that could be across all of the tests that they've taken over their high school career. We had 21 of those students. 10 students reached the level of AP Scholar with honors. So that means they scored an average of at least a 3.25 on all that they've taken, and that they earned a 3 or higher on 4 or more AP exams.
And one of the things that like kids always, so like one of the Common App, if your student is going to apply to college, the Common App always asks, what are some awards and honors that you've received? And when students are able to put this on, on their application, it really does stand out.
And then 11 students made it to the AP Scholars with distinction. That means they averaged at least a 3.5 on all the tests that they've taken, and they scored a 3 or higher on 5 or more AP exams. We do have some students that reach 10, 11, 12 AP exams by the time they graduate from high school. This is the website that has all of the information. They are the College Board, like Mrs. Laverty said, they are the people who, the institution that implements the AP classes. So any information you guys need on any of the individual classes, programs, and tests, anything like that can be found on the College Board website.
Any questions before we move on? Okay. And here we go. Here's our second option for advanced options is the College Credit Plus. And again, similar to AP, College Credit Plus, the purpose is for students to be able to kind of extend their learning and to also in the process meet their graduation requirements for high school and earn some college credit.
We can, or they can just stand if they want.
Yeah.
We have representatives from Lakeland and from Kent Geauga with us tonight. These are the 2 schools that we have the most students attending. So at the end of the presentation, we encourage you guys to go ask questions that might be site specific, college specific, and they will be happy to help you. So I guys just want to give a little wave. Do you guys want to say a quick something about your program, or?
If you don't have to, but you're welcome to. We welcome you to.
We'll wait for you to finish your
Okay.
presentation.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, great.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah,
that's great.
we definitely want to give you a
Yep.
space to do that.
So, okay. This is a hard slide for us at the moment, and I'm hopeful that our representatives could maybe back us up on this. Who is eligible? So there's some easy answers to this, and there's some still a little gray area answers to this. All students in grades 7 through 12 are eligible to take classes through College Credit Plus. Students can take courses at any college that offers the program. However, they have to be accepted into the school based on their admission standards. So that could vary based on institution. Most colleges will require students to take a placement test. In many of those colleges, they use the AccuPlacer. Students will take that, and that helps the colleges determine if the students are college ready and are able to, based on their results, perform well in a college level course. there have been some changes with COVID and things like that over the last handful of years about how eligibility worked. And from my understanding, Ohio just decided a couple days ago what the requirements are for this year. So some of the colleges are still working internally to establish what their school specific requirements will be. So unfortunately, we don't have exact eligibility requirements. At least I know that for Lakeland to be the case. I'm not sure if Kent is in the same boat.
We're pretty much set on what we're going to do, but it's not official
Okay.
yet.
Okay,
But it will be very close to what the state has put out in the Ohio.
Okay.
okay.
So as soon as we receive that information from the schools officially, we will make sure that we communicate that to families and put it on our website and things like that. So I think it's fair we want to at least prepare students for the idea that they likely may have to take a placement test.
Mhm.
Okay.
Because there was some information and that students with a certain grade point average would not have to take a placement test. And that still may be the case, but we are not sure yet. So, and we don't know what that grade point average is. And that's where we don't want to give you misinformation, because there is a grade point average that qualifies students so that they don't necessarily have to take the placement exam. We're just not sure exactly what that is. for them.
A 3.0,
For-
and
for
I know
you.
Lakeland
Okay.
might be considering a different GPA as well. I know they've tossed around a 3.5. So we unfortunately don't have that directly for you at the moment, and that's why we are at least making sure students know that there is a likely chance they may have to take a placement exam to participate. And we'll communicate that as soon as we know for sure. Before you switch.
Yep.
The last one on here, we say this
Oh.
a few times during this presentation, so, and we know that, we just want to make sure we really drive it home. Students must take, every single student must take the equivalent of 5 Kirtland courses in order to stay full-time at Kirtland and be eligible for sports. So
We'll go over more.
we'll go over
specifics.
that more specifically, but we have a lot of students who say, well, I finished all of these credits. I only have 2 more credits left. Can I only take 2? All students in the district are required to take 5 courses or the equivalent over the 2 campuses. So we'll talk about that more.
The goal of College Credit Plus is not to have 0 classes your senior year. You can't do that. So we try to tell students, you have to be a full-time student. And so they always tell, well, I want to take this, and then I don't have to take any senior year. No, that's just not the case. You have to be a student full-time. And if you're going to graduate early, you have to decide that way before so that can be approved. So that's not happening usually. So your student has to be full-time their senior year. So just put that in their brains, please.
Is that for both semesters?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
And we will, again, it's on another slide. We'll go into that in more detail in a couple of
So
slides.
quick question.
Yeah.
So the 5 classes they would have to take, if they went to Lakeland, they would have to take 5 classes in the first semester and 5
No.
classes in the second.
So it's the equivalent.
Equivalent. That's where it gets crazy.
Sit tight on that question.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll come to it. Sit tight on it. It's a good question. We'll come to
That's
it.
where there's some confusion.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the AccuPlacer, the placement test, like we just mentioned, the student has to score what they call remediation free, or in other words, college ready on this exam. These are the standards, these are the scores that the students must hit in order to be able to participate. So if a student has taken the ACT or SAT and scored those scores, they can submit them to the college, and that will be sufficient. If the students, which a lot of times the younger students may not have taken those test scores or those tests yet, they will take the AccuPlacer at that point. Most of the colleges have a pretty big pool of resources on their website for the students to prepare for that placement test. And they highly encourage that students take advantage of those resources before they start taking the exam. Is that still the case? They get 3 chances? Okay,
Three.
that didn't change. So
Are these scores accurate? Yes. Okay.
So they get 3 chances at the test. If they take it for the 3rd time and they do not pass, then they will have to stay at Kirtland for that year. They can try again the following. So
free opportunity.
So this is hard for us because we get a lot of students that want to take college credit plus classes, and it is a great opportunity for students. But you have to know your student well, because this goes on their transcript and it cannot be taken off. If they do not pass English Comp 1 and they fail it, it's going on their transcript. Even if next semester they go and they take it again and they get an A in it, it doesn't get replaced. It is still there. The colleges will see it. It still gets figured into their grade point average.
And not
Both
only-
of the courses get figured into their grade point average.
And not only their high school transcript, but their college transcript too. So if they transfer to Miami and Miami takes those scores, they will start their time at Miami with that grade. So it is very, with that score, with that GPA. So it is very important that the students are prepared, not just academically, but socially and with their time management. The professors will communicate with the students, not with the parents. If they don't show up to class, we don't find out, you guys don't find out, they work with the student. If the student is failing, they sometimes will alert us if it is significant and early, but students who don't have that time management and don't have that self-starting, that motivation factor, it sometimes is very difficult. It's sometimes easy for them to lose focus and kind of slide into not such great habits. So that is something very important to keep in mind when deciding if your student is ready, especially those younger students.
And so a lot of times we hear parents say, well, I want to see if they can do college work, like this is your test. Okay, but it is going on their transcript. So that's, if you can take that risk, that's great, but you have to know that it is going on their transcript and that is not coming off of their transcript. So we just want to make sure that you know that. The other thing with this is that social maturity, there is something that you will sign an initial that they are going to a college class. There is going to be, there is going to be content that is mature in it, and that has to be expected. And they are going to be around students that are not typical college students. There could be like older students in those courses as well. So there are not specific CCP classes for your students. They are mixed in with all of the other students. So just so that you know that.
There are some great benefits to the CCP program. There is no denying that. And one of the ones we already touched on, as much as we offer outstanding opportunities for the students, we only have so much. So CCP gives students the opportunity to explore. We have a lot of students who will take intro to business at Lakeland, or they'll take a cybersecurity class, or they'll take some courses that they have so they can explore what their interests are that we might not be able to provide to them. That is an outstanding opportunity for them, and we fully support students who take advantage of that opportunity. It gives them the chance to check out what the expectations are. You know, a lot of times, I know I can speak for myself, first semester of college kicked my butt because I had no idea what to expect. So, you know, from that standpoint, it gives students the opportunity to, you know, to manage their time, make sure that they're getting up and getting to class and getting their work in. You know, they're not going to have an assignment board with the assignments written down. They have to have the syllabus and know what to do when. So those responsibilities and those expectations, they will be able to explore those and become familiar with them. It allows the students to establish a pathway. So if they have an idea of what they want to do with their career, they can, again, start exploring those opportunities.
Like for students, so we have a few students that have gone through the nursing pathway at Lakeland, and they start some of those, you know, like medical terminology classes, things that they know are kind of the prerequisites for that program. That's a great opportunity for our students to get started if they have a pathway that they're really passionate about and that they're thinking about. So yeah, if your student is ready for that, these are great opportunities for them. With the time management too, I just want to make sure that you guys know that we don't, even as the counselors, we kind of don't get some of the information about how a student is doing until it's almost too late. So attendance wise and grade wise as well. So parents aren't hearing the information, but we are not getting that feedback. We do get some, but not very readily, not very quickly.
By no fault of anyone.
No.
That's just how the
The nature
program
of the program.
is
They are
set.
college students when they're on that campus.
So there are some risks to keep in mind, as with anything, there are some risks. We cannot guarantee that students will be able to get every class they want. If they want to take some classes at Kirtland and some classes at Lakeland or Kent or some other college campus, is it possible to take classes on both campuses? Yeah, absolutely. Is it possible for there to be conflict? 100%. We have to keep in mind travel from campus to campus. We have to keep in mind weather. If it's a snowy day, we don't want students to have 10 minutes to get from Lakeland to Kirtland. So we have to make sure we account for that. So if a student wants to take medical terminology at Lakeland and they want to take genetics here at Kirtland and they happen to overlap, there is unfortunately a decision that has to be made. We do not create our master schedule based on the availability of Lakeland and Kent and other colleges availability. It's just impossible because there are so many campuses and classes. It's impossible for us to do that. So it's important students know they might have to make some decisions.
Correct. And so students typically ask, well, what should I do? We typically tell students that if they're taking classes off campus to kind of plan that they will be on the Kirtland campus then if they want to come back for the half of the day. So half of their day at Kirtland would be dedicated towards being off campus, just kind of in general.
And this was mentioned in the first section too. It's important to just make sure you're researching if you have some colleges in mind, whether they accept CCP credits. There are some schools that we can be very confident and say, yes, they accept them. But if we're looking at private schools, if we're looking at out-of-state schools, if we're looking at, different types of institutions, we have to be very careful because they're not always they don't always accept the college credit plus credit. So that is something to make sure that you are thinking about when you're planning on researching colleges and things like that. And one more thing, real quick, I'm sorry. There are some things that go on in the school that, like peer leaders, for example, we have a peer leader group and our student council officers, things like that, they need to be on campus with us here at Kirtland during our home day times and during other certain times of the day. So if the student is at Lakeland during that time, it could potentially limit their ability to participate in some activities because that's when we do a lot of activities with our students on campus.
We're not trying to discriminate between the students. It's just a fact of a time thing. And if they're not here, then we're not able to count on them to hold the responsibilities of those offices. And so that's kind of how
And
it goes.
we do have some students who are CCP students who participate in
Yeah,
those activities.
They just schedule
They
their
just have
classes.
to schedule around making sure they're here during those specific times.
The other thing I wanted to point out is there's been some stuff on social media about why we don't offer the dual enrollment classes. So dual enrollment would be like Mr. Valentic taught, what do you teach? Government. He taught government through Lakeland. It was through the CCP program. So students could be sitting in Mr. Valentic's class and he would teach the curriculum for government that was from Lakeland. And then the kids would be getting high school credit as well as college credit plus credit. We would run it, if we had the amount of students that would be legitimize us running a course. We don't have the interest because kids like to be off the campus. If they're in college credit plus, they typically want to be off of our campus. And so that is really one of the main reasons why we don't run that class. Now we do, just like any course that we offer the kids, we have to look at the enrollment. If we only get 2 or 3 kids interested, that's not enough for us to be able to pay a teacher to run a class. So really that is That is the truth of the matter. If your student does not pass a class, the school, you are going to get billed for that class. So just so that you know that a student that fails the class, that tuition then is going to be, you'll see it in your school fees. And it will appear as a school fee. Same thing with your books. So anything that was, if a student fails that course.
So on the flip side, that is a potential benefit. We pay for these courses completely. Books,
everything.
subscriptions,
Lab fees.
tuition, anything, anything like that, the school, the district will pay for. It's when if the student does not pass the course, or if they withdraw from the course past the college, that deadline, that is when we will recoup that money from you guys for that course.
And some students don't attend. Unfortunately, we're telling you all this because this happens every year. We have students that don't attend class and they think they dropped it. No, you did not attend class and therefore you failed it, and that's going on your transcript. So they have to physically do the paperwork to drop the course so that they are removed from that course, because if they just don't attend, they just failed that class. And so non-attendance equals failure if that kid did not drop the class legitimately with the paperwork.
This is something that I'm sure you guys are familiar, but this is something that the CCP programs are really starting to make sure that they communicate with families. There may be mature content covered in the courses, and that includes graphic, explicit, violent, anything of that nature could be covered in that course. And they don't alter the curriculum based on if CCP students are in the course or not. So it is very important that you guys are aware that your students could potentially be exposed to some of that. And there is a new permission slip this year, right? That you have to sign and verify that you understand that your student could come in front of some of that kind.
Darn it. Guys, I'm terrible at this. It's ridiculous. Hang on. We went over some of this stuff.
Yeah, we're not gonna go over all of this in detail. We went over some of it. It's just kind of a comparison, like the hours. Lakeland, or English course here at
I did it
Kirtland
again.
is gonna be a full year, 2 semesters from beginning of the year to the end of the school year. And every day, a Lakeland English course or a Kent English course might only be 2 days a week. It might be Monday and Wednesday for the fall semester. So you're getting your instruction in a much, much, much different time frame.
Which your student needs to be able to handle that, having that crunched, schedule, as well as they're gonna have downtime. So some parents of younger students that have signed up for College Coach Plus and registered, they were like, wait a minute, they don't class on Friday. They're not doing anything on Friday. Yeah. So they have a college schedule for their morning. They'll come to us later on, maybe in the afternoon, but they do have a college schedule for the morning. And so whatever they're doing during that time is, that's on what you discuss with your child.
And a lot of the students will come to us and say, I want to take English at Lakeland. And we'll say, okay, what else? And they'll say, no, just English. And that's okay. It's possible, it's doable, but it's important for everyone to understand that schedules are not the same. So one class at Lakeland does not equate to one period here at Kirk. That will, if you're taking an 8 o'clock class at Lakeland, well, I just use Lakeland because it's the closest class. But if you're taking an 8 a.m. class that runs until, a typical 3 credit hour class will run until 9:15, you won't be able to start at Kirtland until 4th period because of the overlap of time. So it's not just one period that is getting replaced. It's a chunk of your day that is getting taken up by taking these classes. So one class, while possible, is not always the most time efficient, and it limits your opportunities we really have to work hard to crunch all the classes you want here into the other half of the day. So that's really important. And that's why most students take at least 2 classes, because they'll take a Monday, Wednesday, and then they'll take a Tuesday, Thursday class that kind of matches each other.
Unless your student is doing an online class and then they just work on it during their study hall, and some students are opting for that as well.
So again, we're not gonna go through these, you
No.
guys can look at them, but they're just some, you know, Kirtland versus Lakeland kind of thing.
Now I can't,
There.
now I can't get it to go forward.
We went through all of this.
Yes.
It's the scheduling. We do our very, very best. We really do. We try and work very hard with the students to make it work for them.
The one thing we need to point out is that there are things called sprint courses where they don't start until October. And then they're a shorter amount of time, same content, but it's a shorter amount of time. It's like half of the semester. So you'll see like a P1 and a P2. Some of them start at the beginning, but like finish halfway through the semester. If your student is an athlete and that's one of their classes that they're counting to be eligible, they're not eligible anymore once that class ends. Their butt has to be in that class five equivalent credits. So if that's one of the 5, and now I'm halfway through soccer season or football season or whatever it may be, or volleyball, and now my class ended and that's one of the classes for eligibility, we are now scrambling because your child's not eligible to play. And so please be aware that they are taking a sprint course to make sure they're in enough credits otherwise to be eligible.
And so this, I think, is where we can maybe circle back to the question about the number of credits and what that equivalent
Yes.
means. The OHSAA has their guidelines, and we have all that information of it.
I don't think we can.
It's in the resources that we'll send you, how the credits are equivalent, how they come back to us for eligibility. But just to boil it down to basics and simplify it as much as possible, we require the students who are taking CCP courses to be in 4 classes, butts in seats at all times. So that can be 1 CCP and 3 Kirtland, that can be 2 and 2, that can be 1 at Kirtland, 3 at Lakeland or Kent or whatever. But that gives the student equivalent, that will make them equivalent eligibility for sports. So 4 times butts and seats for fall semester and 4 for spring semester.
If they are taking CCP courses, if
If
they're
they're-
not, if they're full-time Kirtland, that's
Yes,
different.
yes.
They need to be in,
It's because of the way that the courses come back to us
Yeah.
from the CCP, from the college. That's what pushes it down to 4 for those students. Summer classes do not count at all for eligibility. So please keep that in mind because, well, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But 4 classes between both campuses at all times to remain
Yeah.
eligible and to remain full-time status. And we always get the question, well, what does full-time status mean? If you have a good student driver discount on your insurance, we have to sign a paper that says the student is full-time. We are not able to sign that if they are in less courses. If your student receives Social Security benefits, we have a paper that we have to fill out to make sure that the student keeps receiving those. Well, a very specific question is the student full-time. We are not able to say yes if they are not in that number of classes. So we are not saying that we need them to be full-time just because we feel like it. We are saying that because that is what our district requires of us.
So 4 classes in the fall, 4 classes.
correct.
Or more. They can take more, but that's.
If you took, say, English CCP in the fall, you don't have English normally, Kirtland anymore in spring, you would basically have to take
Something else,
another CCP
Yep.
course.
Exactly.
Or
right.
is there anything offered to Kirtland for half a semester?
Some students are able to pick up, we have very few half semester, or we have very few semester courses. So a student relying on that unless it's scheduled in is difficult. So we just encourage the students, like CCP is meant to broaden their horizons, to take things that we don't have. So if they're taking this opportunity, take it, get them in classes and take
When do you
advantage.
sign up? Like if you were to sign up for fall English, when do you sign up for spring?
We're getting there. We're
Mhm.
getting there. We're getting there. Good questions, though. Good question. Okay.
So.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, bye.
So this basically kind of just piggybacks off of that conversation. When you're dealing with college classes, they deal in semester hours or credit hours. We deal in credits or units. So there is a transfer, the classes transfer to us in a certain way. So anything that is 3 semester hours at a college or more comes back to us as 1 full credit. So whether it's a 3 credit English class or a 5 credit biology class with a lab, they come back to us as 1 high school credit. If it's less than that, then we calculate the appropriate credit. So a 2 semester hour class is 0.667 of a credit for us, and a 1 semester hour course, which there's not many of them, is a 0.33 of a credit for us. 30 credit semester hours is the limit that you can take through a CCP institution and be covered under the CCP program. So 30 is the max. Every time you take a course, every course you take at Kirtland, you have to subtract 3 hours from that 30. So if you're a student who's saying, I'm going to take everything at Lakeland, but I want to take band at Kirtland, awesome, great. You only have 27 hours to work with.
For the whole year,
For the whole year. For
starting summer.
summer, fall, and spring. So if you're a student who's saying, okay, I want to take English and social studies at Lakeland and math and science and computer here at Kirtland, so now I'm at 21 semester hours that I can work with at Lakeland
For the whole year.
for the whole year. Does that make sense? Okay. And we'll work with you guys. We will work with you, and so will
We'll help you out if you have more questions with
Yeah.
that. But basically what we have to do is look at what the kids have scheduled and if they're taking any classes at Kirtland, and every class, we have to subtract what the school will pay for. And students are allowed a total of 30 between the 2 different schools or 3 different schools, whatever it may be. So we help the students keep track of it, but that is why it's so important for your student to bring their registration to us and to have us check it. Because sometimes there is a little bit of miscommunication between what happens on the college campuses and what happens on the high school campuses. And our job is to make sure your kid can graduate from Kirtland High School. So whether they're looking at their associate's degree, we are so proud of them and we want our kids to do whatever they can, but our first priority is getting their butts across the stage. And so we need to make sure that they can do that or be eligible for sports if that's what they want to play. And so that's why it is so important for your students to come to us to make sure that what they're planning on taking is actually going to be possible with what we need them to do for high
And
school.
students can take over 30. If you go over 30, it's not like you're gonna get thrown in jail. or
No.
anything like that. But you will get charged.
You assume the cost.
You will pay for any of those credits over. So, and you'll get billed directly from the college at that point. Is that still the case? Okay, and here's the kicker to that. If you are scheduling and you end up and your last 3 semester hour class puts you at 31, you have to pay for that whole 3 semester hour class, correct? So it's not just the 1 semester that you go, or credit hour that you go over, it's that full class at that point. So go big or go home if you're in that boat, okay? This is an example. So this kind of answers the question that you had about if you take something 1 semester, do you take something the other? So this is just an example pathway for students, either part-time or full-time. I think this one is a part-time one. So you'll see in the first, in the left-hand side, that student took composition 1 during the first semester and composition 2 in the second semester. They took national government in the first semester and state and local government in the second semester. So they mapped out what they could take from fall semester to spring semester that could match up and fulfill our requirements. And not only fulfill our requirements, but some students will look into, I know I want to go into business, so I'll take intro to business, or I'll take economics. They can
Or
throw those
ceramics.
classes in there. Or
They're an
ceramics.
art student, we have lots of students.
Are those times set at like the Those
Those are
as far as,
correct.
to match, so that
Yep.
you don't have to worry about this.
Exactly, yep.
Okay.
This is an example of a full-time student. So the student, this student in particular, mapped out those courses. I won't look at them, you can look at them, but these would be some of the classes that a typical high school student might take to complete their pathway.
And we're gonna send this to you.
Yeah, you'll get this. Yep.
So just like there are some websites that you can use for College Board for AP, there are also some great ones that you can use for CCP. And Transferology is one of those that you can type in the class that you took at what school, and you could type in the college or university that your student is looking to apply to, and they will kind of give you an idea of what the CCP course will give you credit towards at that college. So if a student knows, okay, I want to go to Ohio State, I'm going to take Comp 1 here, what will that, what will be the equivalent at this school? They're able to go through and look at that as well. However, again, it's the same thing as AP credit, depending on your student's major. The schools will give you credit, all Ohio schools have to give you credit for CCP, but that credit can be as elective credit. So if I'm a science major and I'm taking classes through CCP that are science classes, I may have to repeat those classes as a science major. I can get credit they will give me credit as for electives for some of those. So just like they will for AP. So very similar in terms of the school and the major that your student is in, just to keep those things in mind.
And just to clarify, all Ohio public
Public
colleges
schools,
and
yes.
universities
Yes,
will have to take these credits. Private institutions in Ohio do not have to. So many of them do.
yes, that's why this is a helpful
but-
website.
Yeah, many of them do, but they don't have to. So that's where you have to navigate, tread a little.
And only the credit transfers, not the grade. So if you get an A in CCP, it transfers to your college.
And if you get and that's what we warn the students too. If you get a D, that also transfers. So. And that's good to know. I would encourage, I feel like we might have heard slightly different from some other schools. I could be wrong, but it might be worth looking into the colleges too, to see how those grades themselves transfer to the college transcript.
A lot of high state. Credit.
I'm not sure. We could try to find out.
Yeah. It is impossible for us to know. It varies by institution. So if you have some colleges on your radar, we encourage you to go on their website and in their search box, go to College Credit Plus and or dual enrollment, it might be called, and see what their policy is.
Right.
Which courses transfer better?
It depends on the
Depends on the school
course, it
and
depends
the
on
course.
school.
Mhm.
You know, the Ohio public colleges are pretty adamant that they treat them both pretty equally. But outside of those Ohio public universities and colleges, it's really, really hard for us
Yeah.
to give a blanket statement on that.
Yeah, we can't. The only thing that they have told us, because we always are asking that question, because every parent and student always wants to know what's better, AP or CCP. We don't know, and it's school to school. And so the only thing we can tell you is we do know that with AP, that all of the colleges like nationally know that curriculum. And so
And we always tell the students, if you have a college specific question,
email
we might
them.
not know, or pick up the phone and call. them.
Yeah,
Like, and not you don't call them, the student, make the student call them, because the admissions counselors on their campus want to hear their voices. They want to talk with their potential students and they want to, share that conversation.
We
with
just
them.
had a student emailing our contact at Ohio State about, and you got back to her right away. So
That's a
it's
great-
really important.
We can only know this much. We only know the tip of the iceberg for each campus. Their admissions counselors are gonna know it all. So you're gonna get much more information if you contact them directly.
Mhm. And we'll sit with your student
Yeah.
and help them through that too, so.
Okay, end of course exams, state exams, those are still a thing for the students in 2023 and beyond. They look a little different. If you have older students, you might know about the 18 points to graduation. Those don't exist anymore. But the state exams still do. End of course exams still do. In the English, math, the geometry and algebra, no matter where the student takes the course, they have to take the end of course exam here with us no matter what. The maths don't matter because you can't start taking math in a CCP course until after Algebra 2 anyways.
Yeah.
So your student is likely going to be taking Algebra 1 and geometry here with us anyways. But English 2, that's 10th grade English. If your 10th grader decides to take English at Lakeland or at Kent or at Notre Dame or at Lake Erie, they will still be required to take the end of course state exam with us in the spring to get that score, to get those that score.
Competency for the
Yeah.
state.
For biology, American history, and government, that is not the case. If they take any of those classes through a CCP program, we are able to take the grade that they received in that course and turn it into a score equivalent for the end of course exam. So those tests the students do not have.
So really, we need them to take their English too.
English too.
This is another
Yeah.
sometimes fuzzy area.
This is a big question. This is a really important question, something that's really important to a lot of people. CCP courses, many CCP courses are weighted. They're going to be weighted equivalently to AP courses. So if there's a course that is offered as an AP weighted grade or as an honors weighted course here at Kirtland, then if a student takes it at Lakeland or Kent or another CCP institution, they will get the equal weighting for the course. So we offer AP English. So that means if they take Composition 1 at Lakeland, that will be weighted equally. What do I mean by weighting? That means if a student gets a B in the course, they get an extra quality point attached to that grade that gives them a 4 in their grade point average instead of a typical 3. Okay, and so if a kid gets an A in the course, that's typically a 4 in their GPA, like a 4.0, right? But if they get an A in an honors or an AP course or a CCP course, it's 5 quality points. So that's how if you see a student who has a 4.2 GPA, that's how they get those GPAs, by taking those AP and honors courses. So again, if a student takes a course at Lakeland or Kent or through CCP that is also offered through the AP program with weighted grades, they would get the grades there. If the course doesn't exist in AP or honors, like health, for example, if they take that at Lakeland, they would not get the weighted grade for that because we do not offer a weighted grade for that here
At Kirtland.
Make sense?
Okay.
That's just,
Yeah,
that's
we
that.
got that. We already talked about this. Students who attend a public institution under CCP program will not be charged for tuition, books, fees, etc. But if they don't pass, again,
It's on the next slide too. We put it in here so many times because we don't want you guys to get caught. off.
blindsided.
We just, because I will be straight, I put it in yellow, I highlighted it. Because here's the thing, like, I wish that I could sit here and tell you that we have 100% passing rate of our CCP courses.
We don't.
We don't. And it never fails that we get a phone call from a parent upset because they have to pay that fee. And we just want to make sure that you guys fully understand the potential risks of if a student does not pass.
And you guys are all here, but we have kids that their parents think that they're at the class and they're not there. And so then they're fail because they haven't attended and the parent is blindsided. we don't have a record of that. We can't call you and say, hey, this is your robocall from Kirtland High School. Your kid didn't attend their CCP course. So,
You guys love the robocalls, I'm sure, right?
so every year, we have students do this. So that's why, like, we don't mean to be goofy about it, but we end up chasing these kids and like, it's upsetting to us.
I just got 2 emails last week. Dear so-and-so, you have been withdrawn from Sociology 101 because you have not attended. So then here's me running to find such students saying,
Where are you? What did you do?
and having to figure out how
I did
to.
it. Starbucks. Dunkin'.
And then have to either get them back, figure out what's happening. So again, we're finding out just like everyone else. So it is important for you guys to make sure you talk to your students about getting to.
So this is,
Failing grade.
It's
F.
Is it typical?
it's an F. Yep.
Yeah, and they assign letter grades, just like we do, so,
So this is, so you don't have to make a decision. Your student does not have to register for class. You could be kind of on the fence, not sure what you want to do. That's okay. But wherever you are at, by April 1st, we need this intent form. If we don't get this, your student cannot participate for the next year in CCP. So you can sign that not knowing if your student is going to participate in CCP. That's okay. We don't hold them to that. But we do hold them to, if we don't have the form, they cannot do it. Okay, so this is going to be sent home tomorrow, or
Well, it's
emailed to
emailed.
you tomorrow,
we'll have
sorry.
some hard copies
Yes.
in the guidance office, but we will email the electronic
If
copy.
they were in CCP last year.
They have to.
They
read it
still need to
every
do this.
year.
Thank you for
resubmit.
that, yes,
Resubmit every year. It
We
has to
need
be
this.
resubmitted.
yes.
And in this intent to participate in parent information, it just bullet points pretty much everything we talked about. And you have to initial to say, you understand that we don't, students aren't allowed to come in carrying handfuls of McDonald's on their way in and bringing lunch for their friends, like things like that. Like there are some expectations and policies that we have in place. So it's important for you guys to read through those and make sure you understand them when you're signing them.
Okay, I think that's. the end
So
of
we
that.
have someone from Kent Geauga. We have a handful of students there. They're thriving. They're doing well.
Yes.
And we have the majority of our students go to Lakeland because of proximity. So we have a representative from there too. They are going to be up here and in the corner. So please, if you have program specific questions, it is kind of like college fair style. Please feel free to check in with them at their table, and they have more information about they have their brochures, all of that stuff. So please, I'm sure they'd be more than happy to chat with you, and we'll be here too.
Yep.
If you have high school science
Anything.
questions, we're happy to help as well. Any other final questions? General.
When do you sign up? for CCP?
So in the folder that we send out to you guys, there's a
There's a checklist of steps to
the
take.
first thing that has to happen, so this is okay, this is good to go over any. Nothing happens until that form gets turned, the intent to participate form. Once that form gets turned in, that's what kind of triggers the machine to start running. We will send the student's transcript over to the college for them to review. Simultaneously, your student needs to go on the website, to the College Credit Plus website, and fill out the application online. On the checklist that is in the folder, I have links to some of our more attended institutions, so it brings you right to that application. It's not long, it's only a couple minutes. The hardest thing the kid's gonna need to know is their social security number.
Which they don't know.
Which they don't, they might not. I wouldn't know my kids. But it's okay. So as we're sending transcripts, your student is filling the application out. We are still waiting on the whole placement test thing, but we, at this point in time, are encouraging students to schedule a placement test.
Mhm.
Go on the website,
They-
schedule the placement test.
All the schools that participate have great CCP websites, and they also have their own, like, step by step,
Yep.
like, here you go, this is what you need to do.
Also linked on the checklist.
Yes.
Once the student, at that point, once the college gets the application and the transcript, and the student passes the placement test, the college will start communicating with the student about the next steps. At that point, the next step is to attend an orientation for the college campus and to meet with an admissions counselor to start scheduling classes. So that could start, when do you guys start scheduling on your campus?
For summer, it would be May probably, same for fall.
Okay. What about Lakeland?
Application deadline for summer is the week of the 15th, so usually it takes a couple weeks for the orientation in May.
What about Lakeland? Okay, thank you. And while, I'm glad she said this, because while a student can still apply in the summer, we are not readily available in the summer. So we encourage the students basically to try and get as much done before they leave as they can, because there will have to be some scheduling adjustments. There will have to be some conversations between us and the students and the parents sometimes. So yes, they can do all of this in the summer, but it's going to be much easier and less stressful process for everyone if it's done prior to everyone leaving for the summer.
The other thing is that students every year get a schedule from their CCP school, and they just think that their Kirtland schedule is going to just kind of assimilate around it. We have like one section of a couple of our classes for like our juniors and seniors, and we can't move it because you want to take Comp 1 at this time. So like being able to work through that before any of that happened, like before the first day of school here, is very important to make sure that the students don't have to make those tough choices, because by that time then they may already be like, those seats may be filled in the class that would have fit at one of the other campuses, they've already filled up. And so what would have worked in their schedule, now they can't take. So it's very important for your child to be proactive.
And our schedule is typically not completed and built until like April-ish. Okay, so I love the proactive students and parents who come to us tomorrow, the day after this meeting, and say, okay, when are we doing it?
We don't know.
We are not gonna know. We're still getting course recommendations from the students. We will not have our schedule built until
Later in the year, unfortunately. Like, we wish we could do it now, but we're scheduling kids as fast as we can in terms of getting the requests, and then the schedule is built by maximizing the number of classes every student can take. And so we don't know that physics is going to be first period and seventh period. Like, we don't know that right now. We wish we did. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was like to add about summer courses at the college level are typically accelerated. So traditional college semester, usually 15 or 16 summer class on a college campus, might be 5 weeks or 8 weeks. That's truly chronic. So a lot of CCP students here are like, I want my kid to take all these summer classes. It can be pretty intense, especially the first time taking a college class. So that's just another thing I would invite you to consider. You know, maybe in that second year, after you kind of feel a lot more comfortable. And a lot of times students, they're like, oh yeah, but we're going to Myrtle Beach for 2 weeks. Or we have these other plans. College instructors aren't going to work around the summer vacation, especially in that condensed time.
That's a great point. Thank you so much for bringing that up.
Even though we have to apply for CCP, if they are already enrolled at Lakeland, we have to re-enroll at Lakeland.
You have to give us the
You just
intent form.
You just have to do the intent
We don't
form.
have to.
You don't have to do the application again.
Then he'll just be able to access the register, the green sheet that at Lakeland is green usually.
Okay.
And fill that out.
Okay.
Any other questions in general? Because I know that we just blabbed at you a whole
And
bunch.
that was long.
We're sorry, you guys.
So we can let you guys talk to the reps if you want, unless if you have other Kirtland specific questions, feel free, we'll be.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good night.